Welcome, everybody, to the session in the webinar this afternoon. My name's Maurice Collins. I'll be your moderator this evening. I'm joined by two of my clients who I've worked pretty extensively with over the course of the last 2 or 3 years. Marissa Taylor out of the University of Michigan Center for Educational Outreach, and Chloe Lundine, who is out of Wayne State University out of the admissions office. We are here talking about both of their programs and their use of the InfoReady Engagement Hub over the course of the last couple of years to strive and promote both their office programs and the programs across campus. I come to you today out of the beautiful campus of University of California, San Diego. The CREATE program offered up to host me today, so I want to extend a much valued thank you to them around just letting me here sit in the office, and they're actually sitting in the room with me here today. So thank you for letting us kind of squat in your conference rooms today. So today, the format of the session is going to be a little bit different than some of the ones in the past. What we're going to do is we are going to have Marissa present what her success and challenges and vision are for her engagement hub, and then Chloe is going to do the same for Wayne State. Once we get through that, they're going to walk through those visions. They're going to splash up and show you their engagement hub fairly quickly, and then we're going to transition into a panel discussion where we have a handful of questions we'll ask both of them around their experience. And then we'll transition into Q&A. So the session today will last about 30 minutes or so with their presentations and discussion, and then we'll have about 20 minutes worth of time for Q&A. So if you happen to have any questions, there is a questions panel in the lower right-hand corner of your GoToWebinar panel. So if you happen to have a question for us, let us know, and we'll be happy to answer that. You can post those at any point in the session, and at the end of the session, we'll answer it. Don't forget, there will be a post-webinar survey that will be sent out right at the end of the webinar. So if you could, please take a few minutes to answer that. That provides us great feedback on the session and how we should change and do things better down the road. And with that, what I'll do is I'll transfer it over to you, Marissa, for the Youth Hub and Center for Educational Outreach out of University of Michigan.
Wonderful. Happy to be here today. This is Marissa Taylor, here at InfoReady, but I work at the University of Michigan Ann Arbor Center for Educational Outreach. I am the program manager of communication and technology, and I lead the CEO brand development as well as launch and manage all the various different innovative uses of technology, one of which is Youth Hub, which I'm very excited to share with you today. So going into this is a beautiful picture of Youth Hub today. If you would like to go and see Youth Hub, it's youthhub.umich.edu. Right now we have a trending now section where there are open applications, which are very exciting, which I'll talk about a little bit today. And we can go to the next slide. So Youth Hub, the concept of Youth Hub started a couple of years ago, where pretty much people around the University of Michigan just needed a centralized way to tell parents and educators and students of all of the different programs that the University of Michigan had. And because there was this huge need, we kept going back of, do we have a website? Do we just have a very long PDF? Thankfully, there was InfoReady and InfoReady Scale, and we basically combined together to have this idea of Youth Hub. And as you saw in the previous slide, there are these various different tiles. So each program can show a picture. They can say, when is their application date, how much does it cost, if there's scholarships available. And it's just a very easy way for parents and counselors to navigate all of these different programs. And it really honestly replaced almost 150 different URLs around campus. And so it's just powerful to be able to tell our parents, you know, here is youthhub.umich.edu. That's all you need to go to. We're very excited that we launched a couple years ago with 40 summer opportunities, and now we have 150 opportunities on YouthHub. The University of Michigan didn't go from 40 opportunities to 150. We just have now been able to broadcast and showcase how many more opportunities there are for youth and their families. And we're very excited for all of our various different unique registered accounts. And we currently have 16 program applications currently on YouthHub. And at the end of the day, it's really been called a game changer for both the families, but also the counselors. We've made their lives a lot simpler with just giving them one URL instead of, you know, the 150 URLs. Next slide. So I just wanted to share just kind of our vision of where we wanted to go, both near and far. One of the ideas that we really are promoting is this concept of a common application. So many of you on the line understand, you know, there's this common application where you can apply to multiple universities with one application. In many different ways, we're hoping to have the same concept for our summer programs. Currently, right now, we have an application template that helps our administrators and our program managers cut their time dramatically from when they meet with me to launching their application within a couple of days, because everybody is using the same template and still has room to customize some new questions. You know, it makes sense. You're going to engineering versus a fine arts program. They're going to have different elements to their application, but at the end of the day, they're all going to be asking the same core basic questions. But now we're really hoping to go to one exact common application, and the students can just, on a checkbox, say, oh, I want to be considered for this and this. Another element is really to increase the purpose of YouthHub. So traditionally, YouthHub has just shown summer programs and summer events for students to partake in, but now we're going to be moving forward to show events, especially financial aid events and all access weekends, as well as toolkits for K12 professionals to be able to have this one-stop shop for all the things that they could possibly need. And on that note, we really are working hard with our various different statewide partners to do a statewide engagement hub. I know there's going to be, you know, various different conversations, but it's so exciting to have various different engagement hubs and websites that show this already, and I think it'd be fantastic to have a statewide, one unique URL for everybody to participate in, and that way it can be filtered on, you know, cost, it can be filtered on location, and I think that would just be fantastic to make the state of Michigan to be a lot more college-going culture. Next slide. So one of our successes, I think I said before, was just the excellent growth, going from our first year to now 3 years later, just how much more we've been able to connect campus-wide with how many programs there are. We've also been awarded the President's Award for Staff Innovation, and we've also been highlighted in various different campus-wide publications, going from, you know, ITS, the information technologies, and talking about the innovative use of technology, all the way to the various different forms of just the overall family and narrative impact. And so it's exciting to see those on both ends. And at the end of the day, too, the high levels of engagement are fantastic. You know, we have an admissions email that goes out to prospective students about summer programs, and YouthHub is typically the #1 clicked link. And we have over, you know, 250,000 user actions taken on the website, and that's over the course of the first 9 months that we started tracking that data, and so it's been a lot more now. But these are elements of, you know, they took a search, they made something a favorite, they applied to a program, and so that number is just huge. And we'll end with challenges and strategies. So one of the challenges that we have is just getting this constant buy-in. So one, making sure, you know, counselors and teachers understand how to use YouthHub to help with them, and creating videos I think would be really great. But at the end of the day, you still need the relationship. You still need to be able to know who to talk to and who they should be talking to. But after that handoff, really empowering our counselors and our teachers and our parents to showing that YouthHub can really help them get to, you know, 90% of the way, and then the extra 10%, YouthHub gives them that connection point of who to email, who to call for a particular program instead of just generically saying, oh, I want to apply to an engineering program. Youth Hub gives us an ability to say, oh, I have these 10 engineering programs, and this is the one that I actually want to apply to. Also, the same concept of promoting the same application across programs. The key is really buy-in, and like I said before, we have these fantastic templates that help our program managers go from beginning to end within a couple of days. And it's really the big part of the challenge is to keep everything very excited, very positive through the various different forms, and especially since it's an element of change management. So you also have to navigate everybody being on board, everybody being aware of everything. And kind of on that note, a lot of these programs shift and change. And so, going from the programs themselves have a new website, or they're called something different, or, they're not being hosted in July anymore, they're being hosted in June instead. And so there is this element of still needing to be keeping up to date with cross-campus programs. And, I can't have over 150 meetings with people to get that information. So trying to streamline a way of keeping Youth Hub up to date. And Wayne is actually fantastic at being able to show that. So I will move that over to Chloe to talk about her engagement hub.
All right, well, thank you so much for having me, and thank you, Marissa. I feel like I'm probably going to cover a few of the same sorts of things that you did. So as you can see here, this is, well, we'll start with my introduction. My name is Chloe Lundeen. I work at Wayne State University. I'm the enrollment program manager. I manage the K12 website as well as a debt forgiveness program at Wayne State known as Warrior Way Back. So here you'll see what our hub looks like at the moment. I will mention that we're just getting started to roll out our summer 2020 program. So our website is looking a little sparse. You can see a lot of examples of our past camps, and that's camps that were held last year. And if you visit in the next couple of weeks, you'll see a lot more programs popping up. All right, so our vision, much like Marissa and her team, was to create a simple to use, easy to navigate, one-stop shop for parents and students. Parents and students were expressing some dismay at visiting multiple websites, feeling like they weren't aware of all the opportunities that were on campus for them. They found out about opportunities once they had already passed. We envisioned the K12 website, kind of limiting that FOMO, as it were, a fear of missing out. We also sought to spark interest in camps and programs that students and parents may not have sought out on their own. For example, this past summer, we featured a camp that was all about underwater robotics. I don't think there's a student out there who maybe is looking for an underwater robotics camp, but if you visit the K12 website, you're going to find that there's a lot of things, a lot of camps available that you may not have been aware of unless you were able to see all the camps that are provided in a school year. Next, we sought to support cohesion between K12 camps and Wayne State University. We are hosting our K12 camps on our beautiful Wayne State campus. We want them to know that they are welcome, that they're a part of the university, whether or not they attend the university. We want to create a vision of cohesion between students and the university so that they feel a part and welcome. Next, we would like to, and are continuing to, simplify applications, permission slips, and releases for camp managers. So like Marissa was sharing, there's a lot of paperwork, there's a lot of work that goes into managing a K12 summer program, and our K12 website is hoping to make that much more simple for camps as well as for students. Next, we want to make sure that we ensure safety. students' information, emergency contacts, etc. That all needs to be in a central location for the safety of the students and for, just simple liability for campuses. All right, so some successes. I'm happy to announce that we already have some successes for the summer of 2020. I'll start with the successes that we had for summer 2019. So first, we had the CNIT Summer Engagement Scholarship. This is a scholarship that students that qualified for free or reduced lunch, they were able to attend one STEM camp for free. It was a really simple application, and really it was made possible by the K12 engagement hub through InfoReady. Because there was little to no cohesion between camps before, it would have been very difficult to implement a scholarship like this. And we were able to award scholarships to about 50 students, and it was just a great success. We also had about 403 total registered users. We had over 100 camps represented and almost 1,000 pages visited. So it's important here to mention that last summer we did not have registration or payment accepted through the K12 website, but for summer 2020, we will have the majority of camps on campus able to accept payments and do their registration through the K12 website. So namely, that is our two largest organizations on campus, C2 Pipeline and the College of Engineering. They have probably about 75% of the camps that we have on campus. CashNet is the payment system that Wayne State uses. We've worked closely with InfoReady to combine that with our K12 website so that we can accept payments, registrations, everything in one central location. All right, and lastly, some challenges. So, of course, we're always trying to direct traffic to the website. Our solution for that is making sure that we connect with more closely with school counselors, school districts, and community organizations. There are a lot of students and parents who are used to going to specific websites to go to the same camp every year. So making sure that people are aware of the K12 website is key. Like Marissa was saying, making sure that we find all the camps and resources on campus. We don't want to have any students missing out on any opportunities because we failed to gain knowledge of them. So we want to make sure that we have everything on the K12 website. So the solution, of course, is creating close relationships with programs across campus. A lot of programs have knowledge of other camps on campus, and so I'm getting little tidbits from each person that I meet with about other things that should be featured on the website. And of course, we want campus-wide buy-in. The solution is just time to demonstrate the value and the capabilities of the site. We had a successful first year that's going to help us onboard more people moving forward. So hopefully that will be the solution, of course, to that lack of buy-in that you might see sometimes.
Marissa and Chloe, thank you so much for those overviews. How about if you both kind of just demonstrate or walk through your respective engagement hubs and highlight some of the features that you think are most valuable to your audience?
So this right here is Youth Hub. It's fantastic. One of our things that we launched this year is actually this part of the carousel, the very first one, called Trending Now. This is actually manually inputted. It's not automatically inputted by what people are clicking on, but it's this idea of these are the ones that we want to clearly highlight right now. So in a couple of days, you'll actually see a lot of engineering applications on here because these applications are live. Another thing that we were able to show is we have middle school camps and programs, and we have high school ones, and we have a couple for fifth graders. So we've been trying to tease out which ones are for high schoolers, which ones are for middle schoolers, which ones are STEM-based, which ones are, business and fine arts-based. And then one of the things they put on each carousel is the Watson A. Young Scholarship, kind of similar to what Chloe mentioned at Wayne, we also have a scholarship that helps students basically supports their summer programs here. And we connect with our various different programs. So as you see, the Ross Summer Business Academy, their program is almost $3,000 that their scholarships are available, and we also help students attend things like that. One of my favorite elements, besides the fact that it kind of looks like Netflix, but you really are able to favorite each of these tiles. And so if you were to favorite something, it would actually go into your own personal carousel, as well as you can quickly just go to learn more. So as we said, this is one URL, and this is the only one that you really need to know. But from here, you can then explore the university. So if you were to click on Learn More, you could either go to a page that's the program created for themselves, or you're directed to a university website where you can learn more. So one example of that are the various different ones at the STAMPS program, so like the Fine Art Preview Day and whatnot. If you were to go through all of that, you can easily navigate it through Youth Hub, but then once you're actually on the website, it makes a lot of sense. So if you go to, here's an example, portfolio prep, and you click on this, it takes you directly into STAMPS. And once you're here, you realize, oh, wow, they have a lot of programs and whatnot. But thankfully, it's a new tab. They're able to go through that. But, most of our students are interested in multiple things. So we have students interested in engineering as well as art and design. And if you were just on STAMP's website, you kind of would be limited to just those programs, versus Youth Hub now gives you this opportunity to engage with all of your different interests. Very similar to how Chloe said, of maybe you don't know that you want to do underwater robotics, but all of a sudden you see that word and you will want to click on it and favorite it. So there's mine. I'll hand it over to Chloe.
All right. So like I said, remember that we are just getting rolling here for summer 2020. So we've got here Join Us Summer 2020 information forthcoming. But we have here all of our past camps, minus a few. We did have over 100 camps listed on the K12 website this year. Another thing that we have that I would like to make more robust is student resources. One of my favorite educators in Detroit, Mr. Ian the D, I like to feature him. He has some really cool resources on his website for students. We also have the DPS homework hotline, for instance. So the K12 website is not just for summer camps. This is a place where students come to learn about camps, certainly, but also they may not have known that there was this homework hotline. Maybe they're thinking about attending Wayne State University. Another thing to think about is not all of our visitors to the website are K12 students. A lot of times it's grandmothers, it's parents, it's cousins, it's other family members. They may be interested in attending Wayne State as well. So it's important that we have this information here for them. We have information on financial aid, Raise Me scholarships, etc. Something that I want to make sure that we go over too, and that I have heard from parents, guardians, students, that's really nice about the website, is both our search function and the filters. So recently I had a grandmother call me, and she has two grandchildren. She has one in 4th grade and she has one in 5th grade, and she wants to see what camps are available. We can go ahead and apply that. And you'll see that we have a few camps here that are available for both of those students to attend together. A lot of folks want their children to attend camps together, so that is certainly helpful. You can also go by date range, and this is true to Marissa's Youth Hub, of course, as well. So again, please check back to the K12 .wayne.edu website for our summer. We will have a much more robust site than we did last year, as we'll be accepting registrations and payment through our website.
Which is huge.
Yeah.
You guys will get there before we will get there, so that is huge. I'm super jealous. And I'll be able to go back home and say, hey, Wayne State already has it, so I'm excited.
And that's what it's all about, right, is that you've got to show camps that it's possible and it works. But you say, hey, here's Wayne State doing this, you know, and it works for them.
Exactly.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for walking through your sites. Why don't we transition into some questions here? I'll throw one at you, Chloe, here first, sort of as just a transition from you demonstrating your Engagement Hub. What feature or capability do you love about the Engagement Hub?
Yeah, you know, Marissa and I were just talking about this before the webinar started, and we both had kind of a similar loves of the website. Of course, like she mentioned already, the familiarity that students and parents and camp managers have with the site already because they use Amazon or Netflix. So that carousel capability, that carousel view of the website makes the website feel familiar and accessible. I also love that it is nice to view on your mobile phone as well. You know, a lot of folks don't have desktops anymore. They're using their phones or their tablets. So I know we had a lot of users last year use the website through their phone. And then on the back end, I really like the application management. So it's easy to sort through applications, select fields for Excel download. It makes it really easy for me to report, which is an important part of my job, is being able to prove that the website gives some numbers. So it's easy for me to do that.
Wonderful. Thank you. Marissa, how has the Engagement Hub and Youth Hub altered and changed how you approach summer camp promotion?
Great question. So one of the things the key thing that has changed for us is, one, there is this element of, now that we have a digital tool, we still need that in-person relationship. So being able to go to various different conferences that counselors are going to be at, being able to go to different college nights at the various different high schools and middle schools and give them one flyer that is directly for their audience and it only has one URL. This has been a game changer. So typically in the past we've given them, you know, a whole packet of papers with multiple URLs, whereas now it's one. And that's probably the biggest difference, especially promoting the idea of go to multiple summer programs instead of just one unique one.
Can you elaborate on how you were able to get the other camps to begin to promote the Youth Hub as opposed to their camps by themselves?
Oh, that's a great question. So one easy small win is we create and develop and buy Youth Hub swag. So there's different swag that we used to do in the past, and promo items had our CEO logo. But if they're going to be particular events for program managers that are going to be there, I try to have it say Youth Hub. So one of our key ones last year was a USB extender. So it actually extended all of your USB cords by 3 feet. So think of your phone cords, right? What if you had 3 extra feet if you wanted them? And we had all that say Youth Hub. And I love being able to go to multiple different offices and the word Youth Hub is just there. And so all of a sudden people are asking questions, oh, what's Youth Hub? And it's just, that in itself is changing the dialogue. It's also being able to tell people the cross-promotion is fantastic. Like, I was just talking with Electrify yesterday, and they were saying that they now have, you know, over 150 people on their interest form. Their application's not even open yet. They just have a form saying, hey, let me know when you launch, and I would love to apply. This time last year, they had maybe 10. And so when I talked to them, they're like, is this you? Like, what are you doing? I'm physically not doing anything. It's just sitting there on Youth Hub, and people are engaged with you and figuring out, oh, wow, I really want to apply here. So it's just that almost passive and easy marketing is helping people get to even more individuals who are curious about them. And especially with our international students, Youth Hub is quite a success. So, yeah.
Wonderful. Thanks so much for that. Chloe, can you give us a sense as to some of the feedback that you've received from the key stakeholders, the camp managers, faculty, staff, students that have interacted with the Engagement Hub?
Absolutely, and this question has been particularly on my mind, and I've been looking for a lot of feedback since we are getting ready to have registration and payment live. And so what I've been getting from camp managers a lot is excitement and relief that they will no longer have to have 3 or 4 different platforms to do everything that they want to do. So explaining that to students, explaining that to parents. Okay, so first you're going to go to this website, and then you're going to click this link. That'll take you to the camps, and then you'll need to pay. And then once you pay, then you can register for the camps on this website, and kind of sending them on a hunt all around their website in order to get registered for a camp. This really simplifies things. So camp managers are really excited about that prospect. And of course, they love the way that it looks. And from students and parents, that's what I get. They love that the site is easy to use. And really, the main criticism is that they want more camps.
So, as I said in our kind of feedback, or not feedback, but going to where we got to us now. So there is the University Outreach Council, which is at the University of Michigan. This is a cross-campus once a month get together where we talk about elements of outreach and engagement and how to engage with our K-12 population. And they're the ones who really stated the need. So we can, definitely say, oh, this is a great tool, but you still need physical program managers to say, hey, I need a tool. I need something that will help us get point A to point B and go deeper, kind of similar to what Chloe said. Right now, a lot of program managers have multiple websites or multiple different forms having to fill out the same exact information. And Youth Hub has this wonderful way, and the Engagement Hub in general has this wonderful way of combining all of that. And so it's really having just this buy-in. And I also would say that you need a handful of people to be risk takers. So I just want to do a quick shout out to WISE Women in Science and Engineering and the Ross School of Business and the School of Engineering. They have been such incredible risk takers with us going through this kind of basically pilot years and go through the struggles of what is a pilot year. Every now and then, oh, something happened or this happened, but they're such troopers and they're able to give such positive feedback as well as growing feedback for us to grow into things. And there's so many different ways that our relationship with InfoReady has been fantastic because we kind of see a need of what would be helpful for everybody and be able to give that back to InfoReady for them to develop. So one thing I know that we had a meeting of the minds, Maurice the other day was like, hey, wouldn't it be great to show Youth Hub as a widget on websites? And I was saying, hey, I was just going to tell you that a lot of our different program managers would love to show Youth Hub as a widget on their own website and not just link out from their website for analytics. I totally agree. And so we're excited that that's going to be launching soon. So that will be yet another way to continue program manager buy-in.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you for that, Marissa.
All right.
And Chloe. We'll transition.
Okay. Great. So kind of following those same lines, now that I'm about a year behind Marissa, learning some things from her has been really helpful, but I've been thinking a lot about how I want to do things differently now that I'm at the stage that I am, what I would have done differently maybe when I started. So if I could go back in time and give myself some wisdom, that would certainly be to work more closely with camp managers to create tiles, to get their feedback in terms of how it would work best for them. And that's certainly what we're doing this year is saying, how can we fit InfoReady to meet your needs rather than how can you sort of fit into the K12 website. And so that is really one of my main goals for the summer 2020.
Do you want to go to audience questions now? Perfect.
Yeah. Without further ado, so next question is for Marissa. How can the U of M library connect and add what we offer for summer camps on Youth Hub? We create library accounts for summer programs. And then kind of compound into that is, would it be okay for the library to help promote Youth Hub? So your thoughts on that?
I love this. So one of the things, thank you, Monica, for the question about U of M Library and Youth Hub. So one of the things that we actually been working with the U of M Library over the last year or two is creating a college access and student success LibGuide. And I believe Youth Hub is linked out from there, but I think it'd be so fantastic for Youth Hub and the library to connect even more, especially because so many different program managers work directly with the library, and there is such incredible engagement, especially with the various different times that the library has direct access to the students and being able to present what their materials are, because the library is so fantastic. Being able to even showcase those elements on Youth Hub. So one of the great things about the U of M library is that there's so many free exhibits and free events and free opportunities that are open to the public. And there's also a lot that are specially designed for K-12 audiences or even teachers and counselors. And so I think that right now, if there was a way that we could kind of streamline and connect all of that great information and just even promote it on Youth Hub. So kind of having this mutually beneficial, the library promotes us and we promote them, but it also is, talking about as Youth Hub being that K-12 hub and that kind of one place to showcase all the information. I think this would be really great and a very natural place. I know one of the ways that, or one of the things that we're going to add this year is also kind of financial aid nights that admissions offers throughout the state of Michigan, being able to showcase that here so that students and teachers and especially counselors can say, oh, hey, they're coming to this school on this day. I need to make sure I'm there. So there's definitely a lot of mutually beneficial opportunities, which I'm excited about.
Cool. Here's a question for both of you, whoever would like to answer. Does Youth Hub replace the program's website, or how does it work? Has participation in your programs increased after Youth Hub? So,
do you want to start that first, Chloe?
Yeah, so I think that is sort of case specific in terms of replacing the program's website. Most Wayne State camps are hosted by or sponsored by a department. So there's like the College of Engineering, for example, is one of our great partners. They're always going to have their College of Engineering website, and they'll have some information about their camps. It's important for them to show that they do that sort of engagement, but their hope is to then link to our website or perhaps have a widget on their site to direct traffic to the K-12 website. And so in the past, however, summer 2019 for us, we weren't doing any registrations or payments through our website. It was simply a way to redirect people to the website of the camp in one centralized location.
The one thing that I would add to that, so our goal of Youth Hub is not to replace other websites. One of the things, like for example, Electrify actually has multiple programs in it. So, they have this fantastic website. It's very engaging. They talk about registration, and when you click onto programs, they have multiple different programs. However, if you were to give this website by itself, you wouldn't realize just how many other engineering camps there really are. So, SKEEP and SHARP and AI for All are various other camps. So this is a way to kind of cross promote even within the colleges. So, you have the Electrify camp, and then you have the Center for, or CETO, and they kind of do different camps, but they still have the same school. And so this is not necessarily replacing their own website. This just gives them a way to cross-promote, cross-pollinate, as you were, with various different schools, but also give them the freedom to showcase. So one of the things that I love about this that came in after the first year or two is, if you see how Electrify Tech Camp says, you know, programs, applications, location, but then the Ross School of Business says what their session dates are and what their application deadline. The tile, kind of think of it as a little micro site. If you have complete customizable options to show what your particular audience really needs, which is fantastic. And I know a lot of different people around the university are already creating microsites, because large websites are very scary for users and you get lost. And so this actually, you know, you can think of it as elevating or negating the need for microsites, and those things are really only created when somebody's website's too much. So in that sense, this could be almost an alternative to a microsite, but for the actual website, this is just almost a huge arrow to get from people there. And then that last other question of, have we seen increases? Definitely, especially of different audience members. So there were definitely programs who saw more of an interest from their Grand Rapids and Ohio and Chicago students that they never got before. They typically got students from the Detroit area. But after they put their tile on Youth Hub, they were able to gather students from other different regions, just because those students had access to Youth Hub, but maybe not necessarily had access to that particular program or that particular teacher or counselor who knew about this program. Whereas the ones in Grand Rapids and Ohio and Chicago and a couple other places, those counselors knew about Youth Hub, and thus they were able to connect with programs. So definitely regionally, a different, diverse group of students, which is very exciting.
Thank you, Marissa. There's one more question we will ask here.
Right, thank you very much. We've got another question here from another user. Who enters the program information into the engagement hubs?
Ooh, that's a good question. Oh, hi, Jessica from MSU. Shout out. Chloe, do you want to start that first?
Yeah, I mean, certainly in the first year, that was a lot of my time, was entering information into the engagement hub, creating the tiles, and then creating the Learn More pages as well. My hope is that moving forward, as we get more buy-in, as we are able to train more campus managers on how to input their own information and create their own tiles, that effort will be spread out over a few more people. The only caveat there is that we want to make sure that we create a sense of cohesion. We want all of the tiles to look somewhat similar so that it's easy to navigate through the website and apply to multiple camps.
In a very similar way for us, the actual getting data into here typically falls under the Center for Educational Outreach. However, there are various different ways to upload catalogs of data. So one of the things that we're very excited for is we're working right now with the Center for Academic Innovation. They have a lot of different free classes that are available on Michigan Online that might be very useful for our both students as well as teachers and counselors. So instead of manually inputting each of those photos and titles and various different things, we'll be able to do, I can't remember the technical term, but it's essentially upload an entire catalog. So it's very easy to do one or two different tiles, like it takes, basically a couple of minutes. But if there was a whole host of ones, like we're going to do with the academic innovation, it really is just a catalog upload, which I'm very excited about to be working with Maurice in a couple months on. I can take this question because I know it's been asked a couple of times. Is Youth Hub FERPA and HIPAA compliant? That is definitely true. So part of the reason why it took us, a couple of years from the idea of we should have something that shows all of these programs together to actually saying, oh, hey, now we have not just the interface, but when you go in, you can actually apply and get student data. We did work with the General Counsel, and we did work with Information Technology Service to be completely FERPA and HIPAA compliant. Right now, our next challenge and mission that we're hoping to get done in the next couple of months is being PCI compliant, which is in regards to the CashNet and the PayPal and accepting credit cards. Right now, we use a different service for that. So I'm very, very jealous that Wayne is getting huge traction to get not just registered, but also pay through these programs. So a lot of our programs, paying for them is very complicated. And so we're hoping to offer that as a solution very soon. But yeah, that's a great question.
Cool.
We'll go to the next question.
Yeah, so here's a follow-up about libraries.
Yes.
They said you mentioned working with libraries. Could you expand on this? And could the library theoretically have their own engagement hub?
Ooh, I love this idea. And yes, the library could have their own engagement hub. So one of the things about InfoReady is the concept of Youth Hub and Wayne State's K-12 is actually just one type of using this product called Scale. One of my favorite uses of Scale is actually the film festival that Ann Arbor hosts. And so, if you were to go to the Ann Arbor Film Festival, you would actually, if Youth Hub looks familiar to you, it's because you've seen that website. I don't actually remember the website to the top of my head if we wanted to showcase that, but there's various different people who use Scale to show, it's essentially a photo, a title, and some customizable text, as well as being able to have, some HTML and then register or apply now. I know they also use this in regards to applications for grants and proposals. So the library could easily make their own version of an engagement hub if there was like a particular audience that they wanted to go for. I know even if you were to go to the InfoReady website right now, they have various different parts of their own version of an engagement hub on side of their website, like their if you were to apply to a job for InfoReady, they now have like kind of a very cool widget that shows their various different job openings, but it's like in widget form. And so the library, I think, would be such a cool way to create it. I think it'd be a fantastic partner. And I would love to be part of that conversation and kind of brainstorm what that would be if you guys would want to reach out to me, and I can connect you guys with Maurice and Scott directly as well.
Okay, and next question. You mentioned earlier that it may be expanded to statewide. Can you expand on this? Expanded to all public universities, or do you envision a statewide hub that all sectors, private, independent, community college, and public universities could pay to participate in?
Also, hi Shannon. It's great to see you. Haven't seen you since November. It's great. Great question. So actually, almost a year ago, Chloe and I met at CEO Summer Program Summit, and that was one of the first times where we had this idea of, hey, on Youth Hub, it'd be really great if just one of these carousels actually showcased everything from Wayne State, or one of the carousels showed everything from MSU. And I was a person who's like, oh, this is super simple, let's do it. I did not think about, regions and who owns what data. I was just thinking, oh, if you have a website and you're online, it's available and you can post it. So part of this is just this ongoing conversation. So what's fantastic with people like Chloe and Wayne State, because they already have their engagement hub, we can kind of work almost better together because we're already here. I am hoping that some of our other key partners would have their own version of an engagement hub so we can be expanding up. The biggest thing to kind of pilot a concept of a statewide engagement hub is we would definitely need permission for those who own that information. So for example, everything that's on the CEO website obviously is owned by CEO, but ultimately it's owned by the regents of the University of Michigan. So if I were to, for example, give MSU information to put on their own website about CEO, there needs to be some level of like just discussion. And so we're starting to have these conversations. So I personally think it should be completely statewide, both private, independent college, especially community colleges. I don't think it should just be the publics. I think it would be fantastic. And especially, if we're really thinking about the 60% of people having some form of college degree or advanced education between now and 2030, as a state, we really need, to step up our game and actually make that a reality by working together, not by working, against each other. And it's really for the benefit of our state and the benefit, you could talk about economy and whatnot, but at the end of the day, like these communities, a college education is so powerful. I myself am a first generation student, and my college education has completely changed my life and the life of my family, and that's why I'm so passionate about this. And so I do think it should be just statewide. It shouldn't be, closed off to especially people who want to be involved. So I love that, Shannon. Great question. Chloe, do you want to add anything to that?
No, I think that was sufficient. Yeah, thank you.
Excellent. So that was our last question.
Okay.
I wanted to thank our audience for bearing with us during our audio difficulties.
Yes, thank you.
There's something on GoToWebinar's end and not ours, and we've been dealing with audio issues since the call dropped a few minutes ago. So thank you very much for being engaged, and I'd like to thank our guests as well. Is there anything you guys would like to sign off with? Excellent.
You guys are awesome. Feel free to reach out to Chloe and I. We are definitely here, and we'd love to share more of our story. And if there's anything in particular, feel free to email us.
Yeah, thanks for listening in.
Awesome. Thank you.